I'm Jay from Spro, and I make espresso. So here at Spro, the idea of making espresso is really about paying respect to our past. Our past comes from a shop in Seattle called Heinz Public Market Coffee. While a lot of roasters have gone on and they've done a lot of these things with bright coffees and bright blends, we don't really like to do that so much. But for ourselves, I think our style is definitely with the older school, which was the new school, something like that. Anyway, for us, we really want to make coffee that is a balance of flavor. So we would like to have a nice round, medium to full body coffee that has a lot of structure, that offers chocolate notes, fruitiness. So what we really want is nice round chocolatey notes that are going to be there with some berry type of fruit elements. And then as that espresso progresses, we want that to come out with a longer nutty type of finish. And that nuttiness kind of gives a real nice coda to the experience at the very end so that it just kind of stays with you. So what we would like is for you to have an espresso, and if you had not eaten anything after or drank anything after our espresso, that espresso flavor will linger on your palate for a good half an hour to 45 minutes. That's really the goal. And so as we go about trying to formulate an espresso blend, this is what we have in mind. Making an espresso blend isn't really about following a recipe per se. Our recipe over the years has changed, very, very significantly. Basically, we have the ideas: chocolate, berries, and then nuts. In order to achieve that, we actually will tweak our blend, our recipe, as we go to keep the flavor experience consistent. And it's really about the flavor experience, that taste, that we want to be consistent. I'm not terribly too worried about whether or not the recipe is the same, because every year that we get coffees, the coffees change. Even if we're getting the same coffee from the same farm, the same plot of land on that farm, the coffee can taste very different. So every year our recipe changes when we tweak that, because some years we may need 4 coffees, some years we only need 2. Every year is different, and so we have the idea of what we're looking for, the experience that we're trying to give forward. The recipe for that experience changes every year because of the coffees that are available to us. So right now, in 2020, and now we're moving into the end of summer of 2020, our recipe for coffee has a washed coffee from Uganda that has lots of nice chocolatey kind of fruit, just more chocolatey, nutty kind of notes. And then the second coffee in the blend is actually a coffee from Honduras. And Honduras, we found a natural coffee that gives really wonderful berry notes, some blueberries, blackberries, and that's what we're using as a second component in the blend. And right now it's just a two coffee blend, and if the flavors aren't necessarily to what we're liking with the coffees that we have, we may bring in other coffees to augment that, So as you can see behind me, we have this Petroncini roaster, and this is a fairly old roaster. It's from the late 1970s, early 1980s, made in Italy. It's a gas direct flame roaster, and it's a solid iron drum, which means that basically there's a drum and the flame is beneath it and it rotates. It's a great roaster. Small, but it kind of matches with our very artisanal style of roasting. We made some modifications to it over the years, just more for better controllability, some changes to the gas lines, the gas valves, gas metering. Also, we put in some data logging features so that we can see a representative graph of the roast as it's going along. It's a bit cantankerous, as any old piece of gear is. We always try to work on it and get it going, or keep it going. But I do like it. It's a solid drum, which means that it holds a lot of the heat, which is really great. Some drums are perforated, so there's not much heat retention in the drum. So we do a lot of conductive style of roasting with a little bit of convection. Like on this particular roaster, it has a set fan speed, so we don't really get to control the fan speed, the airflow. We do have a lot of airflow, but we don't really control it as some of the more modern roasters do. The basic idea of roasting is that we're heating the drum to a certain temperature, and that temperature actually will fluctuate depending on the time of the year, the condition of the beans. The roaster definitely performs differently in different times of the year. You know, as the ambient temperature changes, the roast, the way that the machine operates does change slightly. We heat the drum, getting that nice energy going, and then we'll kind of cut the flame when we drop the coffee in, and we'll allow that natural heat that's already inside the drum to gently start to warm up the coffee, and then we'll click the heat. We'll come back on with the heat about 45 seconds, a minute or a minute and a half, and then we'll try to maintain a nice roast curve that's solid. And we really want to end probably about 11 to 12 minutes total roast time. And then along the way, we're looking for different waypoints that are kind of indicative of, is the roast going the way that we want? Is it turning yellow at a certain time point? You know, we're looking for yellowing probably around 4 to 5 minutes. We're looking for the first crack to happen 9 to 10. 10 minutes is good. We're looking at that to happen around 195 to 200 Celsius. So once that happens, the roast comes out. Once we reach an ideal temperature. So when do we know that we're finished? It's a both combination of roast temperature, roast time, as well as feel. You know, feel and judgment. We're looking for a temperature that will be consistent, that's also indicative of the roast, but at the same time, we're also checking the bean itself. We're looking at the bean to see, has the roast degree reached the right point? The color is what we want, and that's pretty much it. So then we'll pull the coffee out of the roaster and let it cool. Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, and that's how we make espresso. I'm Jay Carragay for Spro Coffee, and I'm the one that roasted.